My name is Kris, aka Happily Ever Park Hoppers, and I started doing content creation about 4 years ago. I just hit my 4 year anniversary, and
Woohoo!
yay, 4 years. And so I started doing that because, just like you, I'm a military spouse, and my family stays at Shades of Green a lot, and when we started going, a lot of our military friends were asking us questions about going, and they were asking me about the tickets. And for those of you who aren't military, or if you are and you don't know, there's a lot of extra steps that you have to take when you're staying at Shades of Green or when you're using military tickets. So I started having these long conversations with people, and I felt like I was just repeating myself and was like, I need a place for this to go. So I could just quickly send somebody a link, or send them something that I was talking about, because I think most people are visual people, so they want to see it. And so that's kind of where I started. And then I put it on social media to try to reach more people for awareness. And here I am. So
N-
I go a couple times a year. Thankfully, because of the military discounts, that
Yes.
allows us to be able to go so much.
Yeah.
It allows us to be able to save money. And we are very thankful for the discounts at Disney and even for Universal that they give for
Yeah.
military members. So,
They really do make a difference in the ability to go, and I don't think that a lot of people understand. That is why a lot of military families do gravitate towards Disney, because they give us a lot of opportunities to save money and, of course,
absolutely.
like the magic. And so
Yes.
you fall in love with it. And then now we have things like Universal and SeaWorld that also gives us discounts. And so
Oh, yeah.
Orlando is just like a destination for military families. Like,
There's
so if you
so
don't
many
know, now
discounts.
you know.
Yes, exactly. There's so many discounts out there when it comes to theme parks for military families. And it's just such a great way to be able to go and spend time with your family when
Yeah.
you're a military family, because like when your service member is away, they miss
It's
out on a lot of those memories.
so
So
many things. I mean, I think my husband now has been home for two of the twins' birthdays. So, and he was only here for my last one because of COVID.
yeah,
So, the birth. So,
actual
it definitely is.
birthdays, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So, okay, well, we are going to give everyone kind of a run through of our trip, because we actually were very intentional in having unique experiences during this
Mhm.
trip. And I think it's important, especially when we're by ourselves, that we do this, because with our family, we may not test it out. We may not do that. Like, one of the things is we stayed at SpringHill Suites, the
Yeah.
Orlando theme park one, though, because as I learned, there are multiple.
There are so many. When I had posted it, somebody in my DMs was like, "Oh, for me, Flamingo Crossing." I was like, "Nope, that's not where
Nope,
we went."
not that one. And then there's like an Orlando one, and then a Lake Buena Vista one, and then
Yeah.
there's the theme park one that
Yes.
we stayed at.
Yes.
And this resort was actually phenomenal,
Yeah. Worth
especially
the
for the
ride.
price. Yes,
The
we paid
price alone,
$125 for one
after
night
taxes. Yeah, after
after
taxes and
taxes,
everything. Yeah.
and it was beautiful, and it had a full hot breakfast,
Yes.
and it was only 7 minutes, I believe, from Walt Disney World Resort.
Yeah, so it was just north of like Disney Springs. So it would be more in between, Universal being more north and then Disney being more south on what is it, I-4.
I
Um,
four or something,
yeah.
yeah.
So it was like closer to Disney Springs, but we Ubered, to the Dolphin afterwards,
Yes.
and it was such a short ride.
It
So
was literally 7 minutes. The room was huge. The room was big enough to actually have both of our families sleep comfortably. I have six in my family. She has four, but she has older boys in her family, so they
yeah.
want a little bit more space. There was two queen beds, and then there was actually like a couch, but it had a pull out underneath. So someone could sleep at the top of the couch. It was like the
Mhm.
size of a twin, and
Yeah.
then the pull out was another twin. So this is a pretty big room.
I compared it to the family suite that we had at Universal's Cabana Bay Beach Resort.
Oh, that's a good
That sleeps,
comparison.
yeah. And so, like, the only difference was that it didn't have the divider that separates like the
Yeah.
sleeping area from the living area,
Yeah.
but the actual layout of the room was almost exactly the
The
same.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it did have, I mean, there was a desk, but it was see through. So it's
yeah,
not, it wasn't like a true divider where you like there's like almost a wall there. There
Yeah.
was a desk that divided like the living area, and then it did have a full size mini fridge. And was there a
Yeah.
microwave
There
in
was a
there?
microwave, which I know
Okay,
for a lot of people is like a huge
huge.
asset because if you're reheating food or like if you need to, heat up, I don't know who would use a microwave to heat up baby water, but like for a
But
bottle, but
yeah,
if you needed to,
you
but no,
could boil the water to put the baby bottle in. Like it
yeah,
still would be useful, I
yeah.
think. So
But it was both were like I remember when I got there because you were there first, and I walked
yeah,
in and was like, "Oh my god, this room is really nice," and the bed was super comfortable,
it
which
was.
I was shocked.
It
Um,
was. It was
yeah,
very comfortable. It was.
for
We
the
had a great
price,
night's sleep.
yes, I think for the price, you and I both had lowered our expectations like
So
really.
much. I was not expecting anything. Like I was
No,
just like, and I've stayed at Spring Hill before, but I was just
yeah,
like, like theme park resorts sometimes when they're lower price, they're a little bit run down because they're used to so much.
yes.
And I did not feel that way at all. Like I would stay here again, like
Yeah,
without a doubt.
absolutely. And the biggest perk was that they had transportation to the theme
Yes.
parks.
Yes.
After looking at that schedule, it wasn't as great as when you're on property, if
No.
you're using, Universal or Disney transportation.
Yeah.
But the fact that they do offer it is a huge thing. So if you're
And
there on a really budget friendly trip,
it you
this is a
still have it. So
yeah,
this is my thoughts on off property that are not like even the Bonnet Creek resorts. I feel this way. I have no problem with taking the resort transportation in the morning
yeah,
because it's usually early.
yeah,
There's
you're
usually a
getting ready
couple of
for
times in the morning. But if you are planning on heading back from the park or you're leaving the parks a little early, or if you wanted to take a break, I'm always going to Uber because I don't want to be beholden to the limited amount of times during the
absolutely.
day.
Yeah.
So that's always my tip. Like, yes, you can take it to get there because, and we even ordered an Uber and we saw the bus leaving and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
we like the bus was
Oh,
really on time. Like we could have just taken this bus
yeah.
and gone with it, but we didn't want to risk it. And we were like, no, you can. In the morning, you
Yeah.
always can count on the bus being on time,
Yes.
but they have sparing times later in the day. So if you're used to Shades of Green or anything that's on Disney property, it may be a little frustrating to rely on it later in the day, but in the morning,
Yeah.
and again, if you're staying off property, you're going to prepare for like those
Yeah.
little things. You're
Well,
going to
or
be like,
you're probably prepared to stay in the parks, the whole day. And
yeah.
like I was listening to you talk about like places where like you like to go for like an afternoon like nap.
Nah.
Yeah. So especially if you are staying off property,
Yeah.
you should know those places. Where were
Yes.
you talking about Wilderness Lodge? Because they have
Wilderness Lodge is the best napping spot
yeah,
because they have their main lobby and it's a tourist attraction. So I always like kind of avoid the tourist
hmm
attraction ones. But the
yeah,
difference with Wilderness Lodge is they have multi floors
yeah.
that you can go on, and there's fireplaces and
The
rocking chairs
fireplaces are so
and little
cozy.
oh, I
Yeah.
love them. And there's little nooks to actually take a nap. So
Yeah.
Wilderness Lodge is my number one. My number two spot is Polly, just because a lot of people don't go there just to like see it. Like Grand Floridian, a
Yeah.
lot of people go just to see it. So that
Yeah.
lobby is a madhouse. And but Polynesian is not like that, and it's kind of dark. So I
Yeah.
always feel like you can find a good place to like just kind of lay down and nap. And
Yeah.
they have long benches at the Polynesian so kids can lay down on it. So that's like my other napping spot is the Polynesian. But with Contemporary being a convention center
Yeah, it is
resort,
very loud, yeah.
I avoid that completely, and then I obviously avoid Grand Floridian. So
Yeah,
there are places that you can go to on the monorail and go nap
yeah,
if you don't want to leave the park, and then you can leave at the end of the night. So
yeah,
those are, if you're off site, it does save you. Like I can't even imagine like 125 after tax.
yeah.
Like you could get
It's
a
a
room for 7 nights for under
yeah,
$1,000, and that saves you a ton of money when it
mhm.
comes to a budget conscious
Well,
trip.
and because it also offers that continental breakfast, and you and I, again, we both walked
That
in there
was
and were, like, blown away by all the offerings that they had, so
because it was
that's
hot. It was
yeah,
a hot continental
and they
breakfast.
had
Like
and that I took a picture with that Mickey waffle.
It was so I'll be sure to display that because the
Yes.
Mickey waffle was adorable and
And it was good.
delicious.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
really
so
good.
good.
But so that's
So good.
another money saving aspect to it is,
Yes.
like, especially if you have a family of 6, to
Yes.
be able to get one of your meals, like, that you don't have to pay for out of pocket is a huge
It's
savings.
huge. So
Yeah,
Spring Hill Suites, especially theme parks for you,
yeah.
2 thumbs up from us. 2 thumbs up.
And
So
that was a last minute ad. So like we
yes.
are telling you this from our completely unbiased opinion. Like we
Yeah.
decided to stay there super last minute. They're not giving us anything for saying
No.
this. Like we
But
stayed
if
there.
they want to in the
Yes, if they want
future,
to. But I mean, we stayed there completely on our own
yes.
and we were completely blown away. I would definitely recommend it
Yeah.
if you were looking for a budget friendly option, or if, like, because the reason why we stayed there was because we were there during the cheer competitions
Oh,
and everything was sold out. So
everything was sold out. I mean,
we
we
couldn't
couldn't
even,
find
yeah,
anything.
no, not even, we couldn't even, if we wanted to,
No.
book a deluxe resort.
No.
Basically, everything was
It
booked.
was all sold out. And I
Yeah.
remember speaking to like one of the cast members at Coronado, and she said they had been sold out of rooms for 2 solid weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, not a six. She was like, not a single room. She was
Yeah.
like, turnover of rooms has been so tight because we have been sold out every day. She was like, we're hoping to get a break here in the next week or so.
And we
But
added on our stay at Coronado after the
yeah,
fact too, because we decided that we wanted to go to the Super Bowl parade. But
true.
that's for later. That's for
That's
later.
what but we did. So where we intended to stay and planned was
Yes.
actually Dolphin. We
Yes.
planned on staying at Dolphin, which I haven't stayed at Dolphin since I think it was like August of 2023. And we only stayed one night. And really, it was my mom and sister that stayed there because that was when we went on the Star Cruiser.
Oh, yes, I
And
remember
so we ended up staying at Beach Club after that.
that. Mhm.
But so it's been a while since I've been to Dolphin and actually like stayed as a guest and paid attention
Yeah.
really to like what was there. So what do you think about our stay at Dolphin?
So I absolutely loved it. So I have always wanted to stay there because my husband and I, we are Marriott, like, Bonvoy like members, and I mean, like, not that we
Big
aren't members.
perks.
Yeah, not that we aren't members for Hilton and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I wanted to stay there because of the
Yeah.
location. I mean, the location itself is absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
And then you also get the deluxe resort amenities, or the deluxe resort benefits that you get
Yes.
as if you stayed at a Disney deluxe resort. But the resort itself, it was great. I loved the room. The difference, though, when it comes to the Dolphin standard rooms versus the Swan standard rooms, is the Dolphin has 2 double beds.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, earlier, with my family, because my kids are bigger, my kids don't share beds.
Yeah.
And my older son is the same size as my husband. So we basically have 3 full size adults and then a 12-year-old who is also, he's big for his age.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 2 double beds would not work for my family. So
No, that
for, like,
wouldn't at
my
all.
family, you would want to book the Swan then, because they do have 2 queen beds.
Yeah, yeah.
But those beds, oh my gosh,
They are
so comfortable.
they are very comfortable. So the Marriott, it is really nice. And Dolphin is one of like three of the Marriott Bonvoy family that's there. You have Swan, as Kris was talking about, that has the 2 queen beds, and then you also have the Swan Reserve.
Yes.
And the great thing about those three resorts, they're all walking distance within each other. They have 25 restaurants between the three of them. And they actually had just announced this year that they're going to be doing a $250 million remodel because they're going
Oh,
to be adding on a huge convention center. It already is a convention
it
center
already has a
like
huge
resort,
convention center.
but
Yeah.
they are adding on even more space. I do know I have a friend that's going down in July for a dance competition, and I kept
Mhm.
asking, so when do you have to go to ESPN? And she was like, no, it's actually held at Dolphin.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was like, oh, okay, well then stay at Dolphin, because she's trying to
Yeah.
figure out should she stay at Dolphin or not. And so it is it is a big it is a bigger resort than you think. Because I
Yes.
think when we look at it, we just see like the pyramid, scheming.
Yeah.
You
You
don't
think
feel
that
like
just
it's
that part is the
yeah,
hotel, but
it
there's a
is
whole other
it's
section behind
enormous.
it. Yeah. And
It
so
is
we didn't
huge.
We didn't take advantage of any of the food there because we had
No.
very specific things that we wanted to. But
Yeah.
I've gone there before and eaten at Rosa Mexicana, and the food there is phenomenal. So,
Yes.
and I've heard great.
We had a date night at Amir, which is at Swan Reserve, and that also was
Yeah.
fabulous. And then I do have someone who's like in the Disney fam who loves, I think it's Blue Zoo. Like she's like,
Okay.
we don't skip a trip without going there. And that's at Dolphin as well. So
Mhm.
the food is good. I mean, you have to think like it definitely is more top tier Marriott food. Even
Yes.
though it's not like a I wouldn't consider it to be, let me think. Marriott is what's their like luxury their high end hotel. I
I have
can't
no
think of it on
idea.
top of my head. So they have the Ritz. So the
Oh,
Ritz is Marriott, Waldorf is Hilton. I was getting
yes.
confused between my luxury brands.
I was
Um,
like, where are you
so
going with this? I
like,
don't know.
so
As a
it's
budget friendly person, I would never stay there.
I have stayed at the Ritz. It's very nice, but you think like because it is a deluxe resort,
Yeah.
you think like it's gonna be like the Ritz Carlton. The room is not like the Ritz Carlton, but I feel like the food quality is. Like the
Yeah.
food quality is very high at Swan Dolphin and Swan Reserve. So like
Yeah.
if you want to focus on eating at your resort, you're going to have excellent options there. Like
Well,
I feel like the food is great.
even in their little like I don't even know what you would
Their
call.
little shop.
Yeah, the shop that they had, they were
Oh my
making like
gosh.
sandwiches. They also had like a froyo bar, which I thought was
I
crazy.
was very tempted multiple times to go there, and I was like, no, we have to go. I cannot
Yeah.
stop for Froyo right now.
Yeah,
But
they
I
had like
did,
a whole toppings
yeah,
bar for it and everything. I was
yes.
like,
And
whoa.
it's self checkout. You just like put it on the scale and use the computer and check
Yeah.
out, and it was great. So,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong with Dolphin. I feel like it's a great resort. It's hit or miss though on price.
Yes. We
Sometimes
were
it is,
surprised at the price.
yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than you think, but they do run specials and deals. And obviously, if you're Marriott Bonvoy and have a ton of points,
Yeah.
you can stay there on points.
You would need it takes a lot of points to stay
Yeah,
there versus staying at another Marriott Bonvoy like
yeah,
hotel, but like when I was looking at it, like to because the Spring Hill Suites is also a Marriott Bonvoy, like it's under their
yes.
umbrella. The difference between that hotel and the Swan and Dolphin, like, and mind you, the price, the
Not comparable.
no,
Yes,
it like
so
it,
big.
I feel like it's like almost 100,000 points for
Points.
one
It
night.
probably would be. It
Yes,
would be. So
compared to
if
like the
you're
20 that it is at the Spring Hill Suites.
yeah. So if you're someone who's like a high dollar user of like your Bonvoy card
Yeah,
and
you have
you're intentionally racking up
yeah,
points by that, like that's great. You may want to use points for that. And the location is just like, I mean,
yeah,
Hollywood Studios and EPCOT are right there. We walked to EPCOT and it
yeah.
took us how long?
I think when
Uh,
I timed it, it was like 13
It was
minutes.
like 13 minutes. So if you had kids, when it maps out 22 minutes.
Yeah,
And that is probably accurate if you're
if you're
still,
pushing the
I
stroller.
still have a stroller. I still have little legs. And so for me, 22 minutes is probably accurate. For Chris's family who all walks, I bet they they too could make it in 13
Yeah,
minutes.
that was the pace
Like
that we walked at is the pace that I walk with my
yeah,
family.
and we weren't like sprinting or like huffing
No,
it to get there. We were just casually walking. And so it took 13 minutes. 22 minutes is probably accurate for my family with a stroller and little legs. And then we didn't walk to Hollywood,
no, we took a friendship boat.
but
So if you're going from Swan and Dolphin to Hollywood Studios, that boat just there's no other stop. So when I
yeah.
timed that, it was 7 minutes. So I
Yeah,
mean,
so it
like,
was quick.
yeah, and there's no way that you could walk there, at least from the Dolphin. It would take you longer to
It
walk.
it
So
would.
like if
It
you
would be like a 30 to 35-minute walk from because I've
yeah, 'cause
walked
you have to go
from
over and
you have to
around. Yeah.
go all the way around because we've
Yeah.
walked from Boardwalk and immediately halfway through was like, this is a bad
Everybody
idea.
who says that it's a short walk, I want to
No.
know. I want to know where they walk on an
What
average
what
basis.
what yes, where are you walking?
Yeah.
Because that is not it is not short. It is not
No,
short.
and it's
But
like,
it's possible.
yeah.
It's
To
possible.
me, like, so what I equate for anybody listening, what I would equate as a short walk is like a mall walk. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it is longer than that, that is not a
It's
short.
not short. It's
No.
not short. And
And
I
it
don't need the extra steps when I'm walking at Disney.
seriously, that's the other thing. Like, to kind of like go on to a different topic, like staying at Shades of Green. For those of you who don't know, there's a lot of road construction happening
Oh,
towards
yeah.
Magic Kingdom because they're putting in a 4-lane highway. And so people used to be able to walk from Shades of Green and cross that street and go over to the Polynesian. But now you can't because there's all
Yeah.
this construction. And people always talk about, not being able to use that walkway. And
Yeah.
like it was a huge benefit to be able, especially for people with scooters and strollers, and not have to fold them down. But I'm like,
Yeah.
the only time I ever used that walkway was when I could use the Shady Shuttle and they brought me down on a golf cart, because my family already walks 13 miles a day on
I don't
average.
want to
If
walk
we're there.
more.
I don't want to walk
I
anymore.
don't want to walk
So
anymore.
I'm definitely not walking from Swan and Dolphin
No.
over to Hollywood Studios,
No.
because the other thing is there's some change in elevation.
Yes.
And then, like, we made that mistake one time when we stayed at the boardwalk, or not at the boardwalk, we stayed at the beach club. And all I had heard was it's a short walk. And so we walked and we were halfway there. And I was like, this is the worst decision I've ever made. The kids were crying. My younger son
Why
was
am
like,
I climbing the mountains at Disney?
right? My younger son was like, "Can you carry me?" And my husband has a spinal fusion, so carrying our kids is not an option for him.
Yeah.
And so, like, I carried him for, I don't know. It
No.
was not. I
No.
probably
It's
all of two
I
minutes, and
don't
he's like,
recommend it.
"No,
I would say your only downside about staying at Swan or Dolphin is you if hopefully you get a room that's looking at the water so
yeah,
that you can see a friendship boat that's there. You can
yes,
tell by what side they're on if they're going to Hollywood Studios or not, and then you can time that you have 20 minutes till the next one. That
yes."
was the only downside because I
Now
really
we
did
did,
wish
yeah,
how could we see because I mean we'd open the app and it looks like it would show you
yeah, but
in
it
the app because you can you link your dolphin reservation in your My Disney experience
yeah,
because you're getting the extended evening hours and early entry benefits. However, it does not show the time of the next friendship boat like if you were staying at
at a
Boardwalk or
Disney,
Beach
yeah,
Club. So just keep in mind that like look out your window and just know those boats come every 20 minutes.
yeah,
And so if you see a boat leaving, just be like, okay, guys, we have 15 minutes. We need to get down there.
yeah,
And that ended up working for us. And
yeah.
we
That did.
had like a water. I don't know what was our view? Did
Yeah,
we
so
have a
we
name
had
for our
we
view?
had a resort view. So
Okay.
we initially, when I booked the room, we just had a standard room booked.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, she was like, "Oh, well, you're a Marriott Bonvoy member. Like, you can upgrade for a discounted price." And we looked at each other and we were like, "Yeah."
Okay, let's do it. And it was actually a
The
worth
view
it
was gorgeous.
upgrade. The
Yeah.
view was
And
gorgeous
there was,
and we could see the boats.
yeah, but you could kind of, off just to the side, you could kind of see the Tower of Terror.
Yes.
So, like, maybe you could call that a theme park view. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit.
But it
You
was
still
technically called a resort view because we
yeah.
were looking directly at the Swan.
Yeah.
But it was a gorgeous view, but it was very beneficial to be able to see
Yes.
when there was a boat, and then we
Boat.
could just,
It really was.
down.
And those rooms do not have the balcony. So if you want
Yeah,
a balcony, just specifically ask for one because some of the rooms that like we were in, you're looking straight at the resort and at the water. It's a beautiful view, but there's no balcony. The other rooms, they did have a small balcony and a sliding door that you could go out on, but
mhm.
the view wasn't the same because they were like the inserts that were sticking out.
Yeah, they were
And
like adjacent, like our room, and then the rooms that were like on either side with the balconies. Imagine that making like almost
an
like a U.
L or
Yeah,
yeah, it's like a U
yeah, like a
complete
U.
shape,
Yeah,
So you want to be on the arms of the U if you care to have a balcony. We did not care because we liked our view. So it's a trade-off because your view is not as nice unless maybe you have like the theme park view on the opposite side where you can see
yeah,
Epcot,
yeah.
which I'm assuming that room is more expensive,
Oh, I'm sure.
but you can see, the parking, you have a balcony. So if a specific view matters to you, just ask at the front desk and I'm sure they'll either tell you they can upgrade or not upgrade for
Yeah.
you. And then of course our last day was at Coronado Springs, which you and I personally love.
I love
So
it, and I'm starting to like get offended when people say that they don't like it.
me too. I'm like, what's not to like? Like
People complain about the buses, but so I
look,
timed it.
I'm so over on the buses.
Yeah,
Like buses are a fine form of transportation. It's not the fanciest at Disney. It's not the Skyliner. It's not the
yeah.
monorail or even a boat, but the buses work fine.
But the thing is that like, so I've started working on this thing, but there are drawbacks to every resort that you stay
Yes.
at when it comes to transportation, even the monorail loop resorts, because the
Waited
only
an hour for
yeah,
2 scooters because
right.
it's hard to get scooters on the monorail.
But the other thing is though is that it really only benefits you if your main focus is Magic Kingdom, because if
Yes.
you're going to any of the other parks, it is going to take you a minute to get there.
Yes.
Especially if you're staying at the Polynesian and you're going to Epcot,
Yep.
you either are going to have to walk over to the transportation and ticket center to get onto the monorail line, or you're going to board the monorail at your hotel and then go all the
Take
way
the
around.
whole loop.
Yep, and then transfer over. And
Yep.
then if you're going to Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios and you're taking a bus, that bus is shared between the Polynesian and
Yep.
the Grand Floridian. And
And
I feel like it's not talked about enough.
Contemporary and Wilderness Lodge share a bus too.
Yes.
So
And so
for
it's
their
not talked
resorts.
about enough. Yeah.
No.
And it's like, so there's those are drawbacks. Like you
Yes.
think that like you have like this amazing perk. And like I've even seen people, and people will argue for or against whatever their favorite location is.
Yeah.
But for people staying at the Skyliner, I've seen that line in the morning go so long, and people always say, yeah, but it moves really fast.
It doesn't move that fast. Like in the morning and in the evening. Like
Yeah.
we avoid the Skyliner like the plague in the evening. We literally walk our little happy selves to Boardwalk and Uber
Mm,
back. Like that's how much we avoid the Skyliner in the evening
I don't
because
blame
all it took was for us to see that that line was down past like down by Beach Club and we were like, "Nah,
you. Yeah.
no, we are
Like,
going to walk to board." So that's our little cheat as we walk to boardwalk, call an Uber, and then go to the resort. So all of transportation has drawbacks in some form.
yeah.
Buses should not scare you. And I remember at the Contemporary, I remember one morning trying to get to Hollywood Studios and we had to wait for a second bus.
Yeah.
Like because the bus filled up so fast and we were like the third family here, but you know how everyone crowds to the bus
Yeah.
once it comes. And
Absolutely.
then
And if
we
a
had to
scooter
wait for
comes
another
along,
bus.
yeah.
Oh, it's over. Well, when we had 2 scooters at Christmas, I will be doing a whole blog and segment on that because it is a different ball game. You know,
Yeah.
it would have been easier with one, but we had two, and I really was like, you really have to think about your transportation
Yeah.
options because it got to the point where we scheduled a minivan,
Hmm.
and to schedule a accessible minivan one way is $75.
Ooh. Ooh.
But it was to that point. We would not have made it
Yeah.
to Hoopty Doo Review if we didn't just suck it up and pay that $75 and it was stress free
Yeah.
and we
And that's
were able to go direct there. But that's a huge expense
yeah.
for what, a 12-minute drive?
Yeah. That is really expensive. But I mean, we've said it, I feel like you and I said it a lot during our trip. Time is money when you're at Disney.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes it's just better to pay the money.
Yeah.
And like, as somebody who is very frugal and very budget conscious, that would be something if I was traveling with 2 scooters and I was trying to make dining reservations and things like that, I would make sure that I accounted for that
Yeah.
cost
You just have
because
to.
yeah, I mean, like when you're leaving and you're not under a time, or unless you give yourself a huge
I mean,
buffer.
it would have to be such a big buffer because on the way home from that, we didn't use a minivan and
Mhm.
it took us an hour and 20 minutes, but we were leisurely doing it. So we took the ferry to
Yeah,
Magic Kingdom, and from Magic Kingdom, then we got on a bus back to our resort. But it was the end of the night. We weren't in
yeah,
a rush. Magic Kingdom hadn't closed yet, and we weren't at the park this day. We had done like a whole like carriage ride and all that stuff. And so we were leisurely going back. Took us an hour and 20 minutes.
yeah. And
And I'm
again,
like,
I think that those are just things that the average person doesn't understand. And not to
yeah,
scare anybody who's maybe planning their first trip, it's just those things like if you pull up the directions on the My Disney Experience app and it tells you that it's going to take you 56 minutes to get from your resort to a park, it probably won't actually take you
yeah,
that long, but they're accounting for all those little things in there because
yes.
the Walt Disney World property, what does it say on the Skyliner? It's over 22 like
Yes, it's
acres,
23,000 square. It's 43,000 square miles. It
miles.
is literally the size, square footage wise, of San Francisco, or twice
Yes.
the size of Manhattan.
Yeah.
If most people have seen the Manhattan skyline,
Yeah.
so if when you look at that, just think 2 times, and that is the size
Of
of
Walt
Disney.
Disney
And
World.
although they're not using all of it, they're still driving the
Yeah.
roads
You still have
on
to
all of it
get
because
from,
it's A
yeah.
to B. So
Yeah.
that's why it's accounting for all of that time. And I think so many times when people talk about distances, they only talk about the distance or the time it takes when you're physically sitting in the bus,
Yeah.
but they're not accounting for, well, you need to get there early enough so that you know you're going to make that bus. So
Yeah.
you're waiting 15 minutes there. Then they're loading the bus. And if there's a
Yeah.
scooter, that's another 15 minutes. Then you're actually driving the 15 minutes. Before you add up all those times, it has taken 50 minutes
Yeah.
to get
And
somewhere.
yeah.
So,
And so to go back to Coronado Springs, so our room was in the village. And so our bus stop, because we were in the casitas,
yeah.
so our bus stop is the first stop when you're
Yes.
getting dropped off or the first one to be picked up, and then it makes its way around the
Which was
resort.
so nice.
And then it, which is great because then you're
Yeah.
not having to walk all that space. But
Yes.
so then the last stop is at the Grandestino Tower. So when we in the morning, our Magic Kingdom morning, when we went for the parade, and you stayed in the room to work, and then
Yeah.
I went to the park by myself. I pulled up the app and I looked at it and I saw, whatever time it was, the next bus wasn't coming to the Casitas bus stop for another 15 minutes. But when I looked, I saw that at the Grandestino Tower, there was another bus coming in like 8 minutes. And I was like, I can make that bus. So
Bus.
I
Yeah.
just walked over there. And the second I got there, the bus was there. It was loading. I was able to get on the bus. And then I timed it from that bus stop to the entrance of Magic Kingdom. It was 13 minutes.
Yeah. See,
So,
and that's a beautiful thing too about the My Disney Experience app.
mhm,
So make sure you use that because you can see the times when the bus is coming, even if you have multiple stops
yeah.
at your resort.
And
So
it tells you the time for each stop. Because when we went last April and we stayed at Port Orleans Riverside,
yes.
and I think that's the other thing is that like nobody ever complains about the bus stops there. They only complain about the bus stops at Coronado. I don't get it.
I
Um,
think it's because it's an Animal Kingdom area resort, and so they feel like it's far away from everything.
yeah,
And because people dog on Animal Kingdom because they're like, it's so far. And I'm like, it's not that it's far, it's that Animal Kingdom is 500 acres.
yeah,
So it's a big park.
yeah.
So if you're around that area, you're just more spread out because Animal Kingdom theme park is the biggest theme park. So that's
And the
that's
other
why.
thing is, thinking about that, like like with food, Animal Kingdom has, I think, probably the best theme park food
Yes.
outside of Epcot because Epcot has so many options.
Yes, but
But
Animal
when
Kingdom
you're
is
looking at
definitely
yes, the
number 2.
food there is phenomenal. Every single place that I have eaten at, I am absolutely obsessed with their
Yes.
food. So yesterday I shared the thing on Columbia Harbor House and somebody
Yes.
had messaged me and was like, "Well, how's the food?" And I was like, "It's fine."
It's
Um,
it's fine, but it's like that's the best
that's
quick
the
service.
best, yeah. And so I told her, I said, honestly, the food in Magic Kingdom is all of it is
Mm,
basically fine. You
it's
know,
fine.
it's fine.
There's literally nothing that's exceptional.
Yeah,
Even for the expensive character meals,
yeah,
they're okay. Like it's not like yes, there's little things at Cinderella's Royal Table or Crystal Palace that I'm like, oh, it's pretty good,
yeah. I
but
mean, hey,
nothing
you can't
is.
beat that. You can't beat that Mickey churro waffle. I mean,
Yeah,
that
I
is
mean that is pretty good. That
it's so good.
that is pretty good. But that's one thing, like
Yeah,
it's not
no, it's one thing.
Magic Kingdom is not where you're going for food.
No, it's not.
That's just the
Even
truth.
even for Be Our Guest, Cinderella's Royal
Yes,
Table, like those are insanely expensive, and the food is fine.
and
Um,
you're paying for the experience for
yes.
both of those.
So I
So
mean, like for people to knock on Animal Kingdom, like the food there is the best outside
fire.
of Epcot because they have just the number of options they have,
Yes.
makes it hard to say
Yes.
that, whatever. But Satuli Canteen, Yak and Yeti, Tusker House. We ate at Flame Tree
Flame
Bar.
Tree barbecue. Like
Oh
even
my god.
like that was delicious.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
so no, Animal Kingdom definitely best food out of Epcot.
Yeah.
Just because Epcot is a food focused park,
Yeah.
so you're going to get a lot of great food, a
Yeah.
lot of great table service food there. But even some of the table service is not as good as it used to be because the festival food is a little bit better,
Yeah.
or they have their specific restaurants that are always a hit,
Yeah.
that you can go to and you're like, it never misses. So even there, you're going to find the best food, but you still need to be kind of picky about which food you're eating there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and everybody has their preferences too. So I mean,
Yeah,
like you're going to be drawn towards the things that you already like, which is
absolutely.
probably why I do love Coronado so much, because clearly I have a massive obsession with Mexican food and
And
margarita.
margaritas.
You found out.
This is the margarita queen. So if you didn't know,
I don't know
Kris
if that's
is
something I should be celebrating,
the
but
and you should be celebrating. She is the margarita queen. There is not anyone you cannot tell me a single person who goes to Disney who
oh,
is a larger margarita queen. She will tell you where's the best, why
I
it's the best,
yeah.
which one is better than the other. I have never waited in line for a
Oh yeah.
margarita
I know
at
you.
10:30 in the morning. But apparently a lot of people do.
You saw why we had to go there. So I basically
I mean,
road dropped La Cava del Tequila because the line was you followed.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm gonna film Mexico and then I will come and meet you. And
Yeah,
I was like, this the line was out the door. Like
yeah.
people love their tequila at 11 a.m. I was like, I would die. I was like, you wanna drink around the world showcase? I'm not making it to China if I start in Mexico. Like
I've
I
actually
need to
gotten stuck in Mexico before because we've gone in there. B and I went in there, and it's dark inside the Mexico Pavilion.
yeah.
And we were in there, and like, of course, like we had our first margarita. We're eating chips and salsa and queso, and the cast member comes around and is like, "Do you want another one?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, of course. This is so good." And then like I think we were there for a while, okay, like, and so we were there for I think 2.5 hours, and I was like, we like leave the La Cava del Tequila and we're like still in the Mexico Pavilion. And I was like, what time is it? And then we went outside and I was like, oh my God, it's still daytime. Like, what's
You're
happening?
like,
Like,
what happened? Yeah, no, we were in there for 3 hours and it's still day because we started at 11
but
in the morning.
it's just so good. Their margaritas are so good. And so when we were there, like we were talking about it and you were like, you need to like start ranking these margaritas
You
because
do. You need a
not all
scale.
yeah, not all margaritas are treated equally. And so one of the things that my husband Brandon has always said was like, I will when I make margaritas at home, he calls them Chrisaritas. And so that's the scale now. So Chrisaritas, they go from 1 to 5,
Yeah.
and because they're not all treated equally. Some
Yeah.
places use way too much syrup. Sometimes the syrup is really limey. Sometimes there's just way too much everything and not enough tequila. Like the right margarita should be well balanced. And even for somebody who drinks margaritas all the time, if they're too strong, there is such a thing of it being too strong.
Too strong.
You
See,
know?
I'm looking forward to the Chrisarita ranking post that will come out later this year as
Yes,
she's
it
going
is
back to
coming. Yes.
Disney here in
Yeah,
a few weeks. And she will be definitely having some more margaritas. And I am looking forward to the tip book on Walt Disney World
absolutely. Yes.
margaritas. So,
Oh,
well,
yes.
diving into the park. So, we did, because this was a specific content trip. And the reason why Chris and I need to do these trips is because when we go with our family, we don't want to be like filming just for content.
Yeah.
Our kids are still growing, and so these trips are actual family trips. And we both are people who are not one gonna like make our kids like refilm something or
No.
shoot. We don't even like use our kids' names on social media. We are we're on family vacation. So like if you see videos of our kids, it's because they happen to be in
Yeah.
that place, or I'm filming an experience, especially with the girls doing like Bippity or something that I would film anyway. And
Yeah.
so it's never content perfect in terms of
No.
like perfect for like the viewer, but it's perfect for me to go back and watch as my memory. And I just hope that you enjoy that
Yeah.
memory. So
Absolutely.
these trips help us. Like they allow us to actually film content to film
Yeah.
content
Well,
so
I
that
mean,
we
and
can make good videos.
we almost didn't ride on anything when
No.
we were there because that wasn't our
Really
focus.
wasn't the intention. Yeah.
No, because like you said, when we go with our families, whatever content we do get is just it's secondary to whatever we're doing. So like I'm just filming it while we're there doing things,
Yeah.
but my first focus is being there and being present with my family.
Yes.
So it's not hard for me to hold my gimbal and just walk around and record.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when I go back and look at it, I'm like, oh, I
Yes, or it
don't
was
even
too
know what I was.
fast. Or,
Yeah,
well, in your case, you guys don't do a ton of shows
yeah,
where we're so heavy on the shows. Sometimes I miss like the entrances of rides, or I'm doing rider switch still. So
yeah,
I'm not focused on like filming the outside of Slinky Dog Dash when I'm
yeah,
trying to do rider switch so
yeah.
that we can get set up. And so this gave us a chance to like, I got to film like the exterior of rides. You got to see shows that you guys usually don't stop and see.
That I've never seen, which is crazy. And when I'm trying to help people, especially, now with like
Yeah.
things that I'm doing, trying to help people to not actually have ever sat down and watched Festival of the Lion King.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
how do
And
I but I mean, but it's because that's how my family is. My family is
yes.
very ride focused and
Yes.
food focused. So
Yes.
like for us, if we get to meet characters, like that's great, but like we're
You're
also
there for the food.
yeah, we're there for the food and the
Yeah.
margaritas and
Yes.
the rides.
Yes.
So so I mean like we will walk past Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story Land and I'm like
Yeah.
I'm not waiting in that line. I have before though when my kids were smaller, but because
Small.
now my kids are 16 and 12,
They're
that's
not
yeah.
interested necessarily in that. Where I'm still like heavily in that phase of, I only have one kid now that's 13, but
Mhm.
he's still doing it for his little sister who's only
Yeah,
4.
of
So
course.
like we're still, it was a great trip because I feel like we accomplished a lot. But we had a very, it wasn't like an intense park schedule, but we like had a list of
Yeah.
like what we were accomplishing. So the first day, the first day we started at Epcot,
We started
right?
at Epcot so we could
Yes.
get a virtual queue for Guardians of the Galaxy,
Which
which is no longer
RIP,
a thing.
RIP virtual queue
Yeah.
in using standby skipper to get
Yes,
group
that was
one.
amazing. I was blown away
It
that
was
like you
amazing.
set it up and it got us boarding group 1. We walked in, there was like basically nobody there except for Star-Lord. Star-Lord was there, which
Which
was
was a pleasant surprise.
yeah. That's the first time I've ever been in there and he's been in there, but they also just brought him back to the parks like
Yeah.
recently, so it was awesome that he was there.
Yes.
But I mean like yeah, so we started in Epcot for that purpose, which had the standby line been available, we probably could have moved our morning around a little bit, but it
We
still worked
could
out.
It did. And the difference now with the standby line is it's going to be for those people staying off property, you lose your advantage. But it seems like in the morning during early entry, it's about 30 minutes, 30 45 minutes. It gets bottlenecked early in the morning
Yeah,
when the
and then it
park
kind of starts
opens at
to
about 135 minutes. And then it's an average about 60 minutes. I will miss the virtual queue, but I also understand why Disney needed to do it. Test Track is down right now, and
yeah,
so it's in a year, almost a year long. It will be a year when it reopens, a refurbishment, and so you create like this chaos at Frozen and Remy
yeah,
when you only have those 2 rides.
yeah, they
Opening
needed
up
something to
Guardians,
pull
they
yeah,
did.
yeah,
And honestly, they need 4 rides in the morning that people go to when Test Track opens.
yeah,
So that will make, especially for early entry, more worth it for people because now you more than likely, once summer comes and Test Track is back, you'll have Guardians, Test Track, Remy, and Frozen. And more than likely, you will be able to ride one of them
mhm,
and get in line for the second one right as the park opens.
yeah,
I still don't think you're going to be able to ride two without a wait, because even in my family used to rope drop, test track,
Mhm.
and then we would go to Frozen and we would have about an 15 to 18-minute wait. So I
Yeah.
think it's going to be something similar to that, where you could like get on Guardians and then get in line for Test Track,
Yeah.
get on Test Track, get in line for Frozen.
Yeah.
One, you're going to be able to do a combination, or if you get it there early enough for Remy, maybe you can walk across and get in line for Frozen, because
Yeah.
usually if you're riding Remy, you're riding Frozen too some point in the day,
Yeah.
and then you can only be in line for like 20 or 30 minutes. And in a morning wait, I feel like feels less heavy because you're so excited for the day
Yes. Well,
versus
and
like
like you're
afternoon waits.
yeah. Well, and then it's also like if Epcot is one of your first park days, like because if it's your fourth park day and it's later in the day, that
Yeah.
30-minute wait feels like forever because your legs
Yes.
are killing you.
You're so tired. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I always tell people to start with Epcot if they've never been to Disney before, for multiple reasons. One, it's the easier park to use Lightning Lane multipass with,
Hmm.
because most of the time there's so many low demand rides, you can practice on it a little
Yeah.
bit better there.
Yeah.
And with being able to buy the single pass for Guardians, you can assure that you're probably going to get on 3 or 4 tier ones. If you have standby
Yeah.
skipper, you'll get on all of them.
Yeah.
But and it's a circle,
Yeah.
so
No,
it's not as hard to
exactly.
get lost.
Yeah.
Like you have all the world nature celebration and discovery in at the front of the park, and then
Yeah.
everything else is a circle. And so it's not as confusing in terms of using a map
Mhm.
as like Magic Kingdom is, or Hollywood Studios, which has
Hollywood
like all these
Studios,
different
yeah, I
corridors.
feel like yeah, Hollywood Studios is more like
It's like these corridors,
yeah,
and once you're
I
in the
don't even know
corridor,
what
you're it's
space is.
weird. Like I feel like it's an airport. You have like the central hub, and then you
Yeah,
have like the terminals,
yeah,
and what you think would be easy, but it actually feels tricky when you've never been there before.
yeah,
And so I always feel like Epcot's a good starter park,
yeah,
and it feels less stressed. I feel like you can take a midday break at Epcot and come back and just enjoy the World Showcase,
yeah. No,
because you've
definitely.
done all the rides like in the morning. And so I like Epcot as a first park, but Festival of the Arts was going on, and so we got to see a lot of cool artwork and meet some artists.
Oh yes, we got to meet Dom, and that was awesome. So he had
Yeah,
like a specialty margarita at La Cava del Tequila, which was one of the reasons.
margarita.
Yeah. You're noticing a theme. But so that was one of the reasons why we went there, because I wanted to try the margarita that he had. It was the La Arcarita. And so like we went there.
Very pretty margarita.
Yeah, very beautiful. I mean, definitely like very Instagrammable.
Yes,
But so we were leaving and we walked over and I was like, oh, this is Dom's booth. And like we were looking at his artwork, and then like he came walking out and I was like, it's Dom.
I
Like
was like, wait a minute. I was like, isn't that the? She was like, it's Dom. I was like, cool. So that was fun to like grab a picture with him and
yeah,
just talk to him about some upcoming projects. And I kind of was like, I'm looking for Daisy.
yeah.
I feel
Oh
like Daisy gets no love. And he was like, don't worry. So hopefully I see some Daisy in the future. But he was
yeah.
very cool. And he was the second artist we actually met. We actually met Brandon Hill too.
Brandon Hill,
And
yeah.
he was painting at Disney Springs. We did
Yeah,
go
he
to
was
Disney
painting a
Springs.
mural. Yeah, he was
Yes.
painting a mural at Disney Springs. And so when we were there, like his little section was empty, but I'm gonna be there in 2 weeks.
I
So I
can't
want
wait
to
to
go
see
back
it.
over there and take a
Yeah.
photo and tag him, because we like made sure that we followed him when we were there, because we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like just
Yes.
so funny. And we just like happened to be walking out,
Walking.
like because the mural where it is where you go to catch the Disney buses, or like when you are arriving to Disney
Yes.
Springs via Disney bus. So like we were walking out and like there was like a little like sign that said like please don't disturb the artist, and there was like he was he
Don't. He was so funny about it. He was like, I feel like I'm in a cage. Like,
yeah,
don't
but
feed. Don't feed me.
he was like moving the barricades away, because he was like no, like this is like, because he was like blocked off, and he was like I feel like I'm in a cage, like I'm an animal, and he was like taking them down, because I was like can we
Can we?
say
I was
hi.
like, can we say hi? He was so cool, so
Super,
nice,
yeah,
so nice. I can't wait. And his artwork will be there for like 8 years or something.
yeah.
Like it stays up for a long time. So that was cool. If you don't know this about me, I always go to Disney Springs
Yes, we always go to
to
Disney Springs too.
because I need socks.
Socks. Oh yeah, I know. Every time. This is the second time we've been now, and both times you went to Disney Springs for socks. I was like, what a weird thing to need.
Look,
Um,
Stance is there and they give a bigger discount in person. And if you're D23, they even give you a bigger discount. And so, D23 members, you get a larger discount than an annual pass and DVC at Stance. And so, I love their socks. You
mhm.
know, they're just these tall. It's the only cool thing about me is my is my socks at this point.
Okay.
my my cool socks. So I do
I
love
will,
them.
I
I
will,
just
I
love
will,
them.
I will change that and say there's many cool things about you. I guess the socks is an added bonus.
You're like the socks wasn't what I was going
I know. I
for,
was like
but
socks. Okay, all right. But I did get this sweatshirt from that.
and it's so cute. It was ever after that you
Yes,
got
ever
that,
after
and I
was there.
love
So
it.
for those
I
of you
love
who
it.
can't see me, it is a like a crew neck, like kind of tie dye red Baymax, like
It
sweatshirt.
is very cute.
So
Like it's
cute,
very cute. Very,
so
very, very cute.
cute. And
And
I
Ever After is so cute. And what did they say about Ever After again? They're the
oh
tester store?
yeah, she said it was like a tester store because they had these like so I'm obsessed with Inside Out and now I really regret that I didn't buy those. So when I go back in 2 weeks, I'm gonna have to go back and see if they
Yes.
have them. But they had these little like mystery like blind boxes of Inside Out characters. They were so cute. And
So adorable.
I love anxiety, which I know like you shouldn't love, but it's because I identify as anxiety because for those of you who don't know, I have really, really, really bad anxiety. And
That's why
so
we love the movie. That's
yes,
why we
and
love
so
the
I
movie.
just my family makes fun of me because when the movie Inside Out 2 was coming out, I was like, anxiety is going to be my favorite. And then if you haven't seen the movie, I won't spoil it for you, but after we watched it, I was like, oh, I don't oh. But I still because I have such really bad anxiety, I loved I love the idea of the character
Yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah.
So they had these really cute things. So the cast member was telling me because I was like, well, do they have these anywhere else? Like if I change my mind? And she was like, well, this store is kind of like their tester store. Like they put things in there like as like a trial to see how they sell. And then if they do well, then they move them to other stores in the parks and
Which
Disney.
now makes sense.
Yeah.
Like after she said that, I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense because
Mhm.
you do see a lot of things at Ever After, and then you're like, why is it nowhere else?
Yeah.
And then they slowly migrate into the park, just
Yeah.
like the headbands have slowly
Yes.
migrated
And then when we
into
were
different
there,
stores.
I don't know if you've seen them on the Disney store yet, but so remember when we first walked in, they had all of those like
Yeah,
soft
the
cakes.
plushie, the
Yeah.
Valentine's like sweet, like
Yeah. And then they're on the Disney store website. And so I was like, oh, the other cool thing that they had in Ever After was they had this huge like throne chair that was made out of like
yes,
stuffed animals
very
that
cute.
was definitely giving like 90s Disney store vibes, like where they had that mound.
Yes,
It's like an actual chair and then like they had like
yes.
stuffed animals glued to them. So cute. But I do kind of regret not getting that. They had this massive like Baymax head bag, which
You
they're
definitely need that.
I know. I feel like I need to when I go back, I should get it. But
You
um
really should.
just so cute. I really love it. For those of
It
you who can't see, I feel
it
so
is a very adorable. So definitely check that out. So,
yes.
but and then well, going back to our Epcot day, so we rode Guardians. I got Conga as the last song I needed
Yeah.
after
Which
30 rides.
Conga's
Took forever.
definitely my least favorite song when it comes to the ride. Not to say that I don't love the song because I love the song. I love Gloria Stefan. Like I'm
Yes,
not saying that whatsoever.
it was just the
I
match with the ride
yeah.
because
I
everyone
just
wants to rule the world is the best.
yes, that's the one that I feel is the best, but I
Me
still
too.
haven't had Iran. That's the last song that I need.
I feel
So
like Iran makes it feel really fast.
really.
Yeah,
So the
like
other one that I feel like everybody wants to rule the world fits the best. I
yes,
also really like September, obviously,
yes.
and Disco Inferno. Like also like it's just so fun. Like
Don't
but
you remember?
yeah, I just don't see Congo working for Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy. And not to say that I don't like the song because I do love the song. I
Yes.
just don't see where it fits as well as the
For
other
the
songs.
movie, yes.
Yes.
The other ones just fit really well.
Yeah.
So, no. But even though Standby Skipper cannot be used for virtual queue, I still recommend it for other reasons.
Absolutely.
And you can,
I
it
I'm a
still is a
fan.
great app
Yeah.
to use, especially if you're like a newbie and you need help
Hmm.
with booking. And then the other thing I loved at Epcot that we did was Rose and Crown.
Yes. Oh my God, that was such
That
an
was
amazing experience.
so amazing. Our dinner reservation was originally for, was it 8:55?
8:55 because the
Okay.
park closed at 9, and so Luminous, the Symphony of Us starts at 9 o'clock. So
Yeah.
for I want to preface this by saying that like this is not a hack. If I see anybody talking about like steal
The
this hack,
hack.
oh,
It's not a
it
hack.
will make me so angry because I hate when people say that just for likes and views and
Yes.
shares. Like
Lots of
it's a
clickbait
great
stuff.
yes, it's a great tip, and if it works, great.
It
But
works amazing,
yes,
but
but
it's
there's
not
no guarantee.
guaranteed.
Yeah,
There's no guarantee. And you don't want to like get your hopes up that you're going to be able
yeah,
to do this or
yeah.
have this experience work out in this way. And then you're like, oh, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
you're
and that's one of
upset.
the things that we've talked about before, and especially like in our last trip recap, like we talk about manageable expectations.
Yes.
And so I tell people all the time, do not make guaranteed statements to your children
No.
because there's literally nothing that you can guarantee other than the fact that you are going to eat at Rose and Crown.
Yes.
But I mean, like, there's no guarantee that you're going to get to sit outside. What we did, and if you want to try to follow this, you can, but our reservation was originally for 8:55. You're allowed to check in up to 15 minutes early. So we arrived early at that 15 minutes, asked very nicely with the
Yes.
cast member who was there if it would be at all possible to sit outside. And of course, she was like, there's no guarantee. Those tables are very popular. I'm like, rightfully so.
No
Um,
problem.
and so, like that's it. Like that's all you can do. So it's not a hack
No.
because you literally
It
have
may
no
not
control
work
over it.
out.
Yeah.
And we were a party of 2.
Yes,
So
which
like
made
if
it so
you're
much
going with
easier.
4 or 6, it definitely isn't. Not that the view from inside wouldn't be spectacular too, because
Yeah.
you would definitely still see the fireworks and you can hear the music. It's so
Yeah.
loud. And it would be a great view from the interior of the restaurant as well.
Yeah.
But you
So when
just
you
don't
check
know
in,
if
you
you're
can
gonna get
always,
there.
yeah, you just don't know. So I mean, when you check in, you can always ask for an outdoor seat or a window facing seat. But again, the actual part of Rose and Crown, the seating is very small.
Yes.
So I mean, like you just don't know. But
You don't
we
know.
were very lucky, and the
Had a
cast member when
fantastic view.
oh, she said
It
it was her
was
favorite table, and I could
it
totally see why
was it
because I
was
felt like we were very
amazing.
central
Yes.
to facing the
The
little island.
show, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal. It was a great way to like end that night. I just was
Yes.
like, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing." And
Yes.
so, yeah, I
And
was
the
great.
food, you had mentioned that you liked the fish and chips at Yorkshire County better.
Yes,
They
it
definitely
was.
are not the same.
No. And they take the batter is very different. Where at Yorkshire County, it's like light and crisp.
Hmm.
This felt dense and heavy, almost like truly like a beer batter.
Hmm.
Like it was just heavier. And
Yeah.
it was still okay, but it was if you're used to Yorkshire County, which I try to get almost every trip, um, you're not going to be like overly impressed. And the menu is so small, there
Hmm.
aren't a ton of options. So this is definitely one where
Yeah.
you
The
should check
menu
out the
was very
menu.
small. Yeah.
Very, very limited.
Anytime you go
So
anywhere, I say this all the time, like Disney is not the place to test out if you like
no,
something new.
no,
Even for the sake of being able to have that seat. I had the bangers and mash, which were phenomenal. I love
yeah,
bangers and mash, and I know that that's, like where I would want to eat it.
yeah,
So I mean, like I had no complaints. The other place where you could try to do the same thing is at Spice Road Table, which is in the
yes,
Morocco Pavilion.
yeah,
And again, like there is no guarantee. This is not a hack. This
no,
is just if you are lucky and you have, and I wouldn't even call it being pixie dusted because that's
no.
again something that the cast member has control
Sure,
over.
exactly. This
A
is
hack and pixie dust is something that somebody else has control over.
yes,
You
this
and for
is literally luck.
yeah, and that's like as somebody who has worked years in the restaurant industry, you have no control over how long a table sits and waits for.
Yeah,
So you don't know how many reservations they had before yours or how
yeah,
many available reservations spots they have. And then they have no control over how long a table sits and chooses to sit there, especially
Exactly.
if people made their reservation a little before the fireworks,
Yeah.
which is at 9 o'clock. If somebody came in at 8 and then they're like, oh, the fireworks are starting, we'll just sit
Let's
here.
just sit. Let's just
Yeah.
have a dessert. They
Yeah.
extend the dinner. So you
Yeah.
just
Disney is
don't.
not going to kick them out of their table,
No,
you
no,
know?
you
So,
just don't know. So don't. It's something that happens. It's great, but don't like
yeah.
plan on that happening. So, but that was great. And
And
then
we did do that because we couldn't get the fireworks dining
yes,
package that
that
you can get.
dining package went fast.
It's insanely possible. I feel like
Like
unless you have like a week-long trip and you're doing that at the like your
very
last park
end,
day, yeah,
it was hard to get. It wasn't like the dessert party at Magic Kingdom, which feels fairly easy. It doesn't sell
yeah,
out as fast.
yeah,
This definitely was like it went very fast.
yeah.
So, and speaking of us talking about like not making promises, so I also have bought a Magic membership for DVC,
Oh yeah.
and there's a DVC lounge at Epcot. We went because we're going to take a break, but we were like, no, 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 we really want to come back later tonight because with Magic membership, you're supposed to be able to like go up and still enjoy the lounge the same way that you would as any DVC person, but there's characters. Well, we have priority access during the day, which we could have gone if we wanted to, but we didn't need a break. We were doing specific things. So we were going to come back in the evening and film it and all that stuff. Turns out we couldn't do it because we weren't on a DVC stay, which is something that was not clear. It is in the fine print because I talked to my DVC rep and he did
Oh,
send me where it
afterwards.
is in the fine print. Yes. And I was
So
like,
I
"Oh,
think that
well that print's
yeah,
really little."
right.
So,
Well, but the other thing
those
was
are the
was
kind
that
of things they didn't tell us.
so no, so that was the other thing was that like we had gone there once before, and there was a cast member who was at the podium who had told you, like, oh, you can come back for what's it, Moonlight Magic? Is that what it's called?
It's like Moonlight membership. Like it's
Moonlight membership.
it's
Okay.
it's like a little membership event. Just
Hmm.
they're like playing off of Moonlight Magic, which is a
Yeah.
members only event, but
Hmm.
this is like just a little evening thing just for
Yeah.
the people who bought because we all pay for this
which
extra
is
membership.
which was I think the thing that I was frustrated for you because we go up to the podium and she tells us, when the Moonlight membership was starting, and she looked at your membership, she
Yeah,
looked at your account, and so we were like, okay, we'll come back. So we leave. We go to our room at Coronado because at that
yeah,
point our room was ready because
yeah.
we had transferred from the Dolphin to Coronado. So we go to Coronado, and at that point, we had to change our shoes because we both wore bad
We
shoes.
looked cute.
We looked
And
cute, but
sometimes cute doesn't work all day. We were like, get
no.
these shoes off.
Oh yeah. But so it was on one hand, I'm glad that we did leave and go back.
Yeah.
But I was frustrated for you because when we went
Yeah.
back and they told you that we couldn't go because you weren't actively staying at a DVC on DVC
And I
points.
was like, well, why didn't they say that beforehand? Like,
Because then we left and went over to Hollywood Studios, and so like we could have avoided going back there
yes.
altogether. I did go back though and had some more. We did. I mean, I guess I can't say completely, but I mean,
I
we had
mean,
gone
we
back.
did do stuff, but I still was like, we could have
Yeah,
X'd out this just because
yeah,
we were on a mission of like getting and
yeah.
capturing things.
Content.
We
Yeah,
could have X'd out this extra step of having to come back here if
yeah.
we would have known. We just wouldn't have included in the plans and we would have been fine. But there is, so I am actually taking the time to like go through all the Magic membership stuff now
Hmm.
and or the membership Magic stuff now to see where there's like little caveats and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I
because
definitely
that is
will
really
have
important to
a
know.
it is because can you imagine if you told your kids that they're going to see and that night it was Judy Hopps and Nick
And
Wilde
Nick Wilde. Yeah,
and then you come back and you find out that you actually can't and now you have promised these kids that
yeah,
we were going to see them in a private
yeah,
meeting,
yeah,
and now you haven't even used the lounge as a break. So,
yeah.
hopefully if your DVC members, your kids are a little bit more understanding, but if they're young, they're still not understanding whether they go to
Yeah.
Disney a
No
lot or
matter, yeah,
not,
no matter how
you
many
know?
times they go. Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing that happened at Epcot, which was a good experience. Even the pros get caught off guard.
Yeah.
And But overall, Epcot was great. That
Yeah.
was a great that we spent a full day there compared to doing like little pieces and half days at all the other parks.
Hmm.
And we really got content thoroughly from
Yes,
Epcot,
because
I
we
feel
had
like.
gone, so we had started in Epcot, then we went to Animal Kingdom, and then we came back to
Yeah.
Epcot.
Yeah.
But so when we went to Animal Kingdom, like I said, my family's very ride focused. So I got to do, you and I both did Festival of the Lion King, which
Yes.
was absolutely, I was like blown away. I had no idea.
It was
And I had never
amazing
like,
watching her watch it for the first time because that's like a not like we don't miss it for
yeah.
my family. And so to see her, and I was like,
I
yes,
was
this
I
you've been
was
missing this.
so blown away. And so if you're like me and you haven't gone to Festival of the Lion King, I
Mm,
couldn't believe that they had like a little Pumbaa like animatronic, and then
yeah.
they had like an adult Simba like on like Pride Rock. I was like, "Oh my gosh," but the voices of the
Oh,
performers,
talented.
so amazing,
Yeah.
so incredible. And like then they had like these like aerial acrobats and stuff like that. They had a flamethrower. I could not believe that like these things were happening, and I was like, now I like have to take my family to these
They
things
have to
because
see it.
yeah,
Yes.
because I'm like, I can't believe that I've been, and for as many times as we've gone, I
Yes.
can't believe that I've been allowing my family to just be like, no, we just want to do rides.
Yeah.
But I also think that that's one of the benefits of going all the time is that like you are able to, and that's people are like, aren't you tired of going? No, I'm not, because
There's
every time
something new
I go,
all the
there
time.
every time. And so
Yeah.
I also had done the Finding Nemo Big Blue and Beyond, which, oh my God, those
Super cute
people,
show.
so
Yeah.
also equally talented.
Puppeteers
And
are
yes,
amazing.
I could not believe it. And like in the and so like I so for background, when I was in high school, I was on a dance team, and so like I understand what it means to like have to go and have a wardrobe change.
Yeah.
And these people are multiple characters, so they're
Yeah.
running in the back and changing their clothes and grabbing different puppets, and that was an amazing show. I loved that. And then we also went and seen Fantasmic, which I've only ever seen Fantasmic at Disneyland.
Yes.
And I for
It's
people who
about
can't see me, when we Jessica and I went to Pizza Rizzo, and we were talking with my husband and my younger son, and I was saying how we were going to go to Fantasmic, and she starts doing that, and she's like, dun dun dun, and like
basically I do the intro for Mickey for those who are just listening audio in the middle of Pizza Rizzo.
yes, and her hands are going, and my husband and my son are like, "What is she doing?" I'm like, "I think she's doing some series of, like, because I hadn't seen Fantasmic in I don't know, at least 15 years. It's been a really really long time for me, so I was like, I have no idea what's happening, and absolutely, like you have to make time for it. I mean, like it's not as good as Jessica doing her version of Phantasmic Mickey, but or Sorcerer Mickey, but I mean, like it was so good, and we had like great
Yes.
seats. We were able to get in and like be like right there in the center, and that was so good.
We had great seats. So that was I mean,
Yeah.
and for me every time seeing it I love it every time. And it is definitely a different feel than Disneyland. I do feel like Disneyland is more intimate and you're more
Hmm.
in the show because you're seated and you get to walk seated on the floor.
Yeah.
So you're seated at Walt Disney World too, but it's a stadium. It's just a bigger production. And
Yeah.
our Maleficent dragon is still alive and well.
Hmm.
RIP Disneyland Maleficent because
I
that's
know.
not coming back.
Never. They said they
But the
were
show
releasing
is a
Cosmic.
little different too at Disneyland. So I love
Hmm.
both of them. They're both different feelings. Disney World definitely feels more like a production. Disneyland feels
Yeah.
more intimate for
Yeah.
sure. So that was really fun to see at Hollywood Studios. And we did a lot of Genie Plus at Hollywood Studios, which was really nice because we were able to be able to show you how to do Genie Plus, and we had like a money stack. Kris got this awesome stack where it was like Slinky Dog, Toy Story Mania, and Alien Swirling Saucers. Even though we didn't
Yeah.
ride Alien Swirling Saucers and stuff, it was nice to be able to show you how to use
Yeah.
Genie Plus effectively at Hollywood
At one of
Studios.
the busier parks and like more like deemed like hard to
Hi,
get.
yes,
But the
yes,
best thing was when we were there after we tapped in for Slinky Dog Dash, which was our first or lightning lane selection.
yeah,
We were able to modify and
yes,
change the alien swirling saucers time so that way they were more like they worked better, and I think that they
yes.
were even overlapping at that
They were
point, which
over.
was
We could
great.
move
Yeah,
it up, which is that stuff is hard to explain to people without having the visual. So we
yeah,
literally showed you our stack, and then we showed you once you tap in, you can modify those times to earlier times if they're available. Now, Toy
yeah,
Story Mania is more popular, so that one didn't have any earlier times, but it was nice to be able to knock out Alien Swirling Saucers too, because now we can book more lightning lanes. And
yeah,
so that Hollywood Studios was great for showing that kind of stuff. And we said goodbye to basically Grand Avenue.
yes.
That will be closing. The last day to enjoy Grand Avenue is June 7th. The walls will go
Hmm.
up on June 8th. So just for
Yes,
anyone who is planning a trip down there, and that will be the beginning of the construction of Monsters Inc. Land, which is very needed at Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios is in need of a lot of love. So
yes. But
um
Muppets aren't going away completely. For those of you who
no.
don't know, then like they are going to retheme Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith to a
Yes.
Muppets retheme.
Yes.
But it's not the
So
same, as Muppet Vision 3D. But I
yeah.
mean, like
My
Walt Disney
hope
said, like change
in my
happens. So
head, I'm like,
yeah,
hopefully one day they will make that area a Muppets courtyard.
yeah,
Years down the line, when people have kind of forgotten, Magic Kingdom is getting a villains land, which won't be open probably until 2030, 2031. There's a new villain show coming this summer to Hollywood Studios where Lightning McQueen Race Academy used to be.
yeah,
In my head, I am saying that they are starting to train new villains in that spot. And
yeah,
one day that show will move to the villains land in
yeah.
2030.
It
And
would
then they
make
will
sense.
surprise us all and
Yeah,
bring back Muppets Vision
yeah.
3D.
Let's
And then we'll
do
have
it.
a new Muppets courtyard in that whole little back section. That is
Yes,
wishful thinking, everyone. That is not
it is. Yeah,
fact.
that is not.
That is
No one
that is my
leave here
wish.
saying.
That is my wishful thinking,
Yeah,
is that will happen. And they'll be, because I just can't imagine the Miss Piggy fountain not being,
I
they're
know.
gonna put it in a closet.
I, if they sell it, I need it because
I
for those of you who don't know, I'm obsessed with Mix Piggy. I even do that thing to my husband, like Kermie, like I
I
love
I
Miss
I
Piggy.
just am like, I can't believe. And Muppets Vision 3D is more than just like a show. Like there's a character that comes out. There's like
Yeah, the
animatronics. Like
Tweetums.
there's,
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of things that go on in that show. And it was Jim Henson's last project, so it'll be sad if
yeah,
that goes away forever. But we're hopeful that eventually it
yeah.
will
I
come
really
back
hope
in
that
some
Disney does the
capacity.
right thing and they bring it back. Yeah. So
Yeah, so we'll just see. So, but that, and then the last thing that we did on our trip was on Monday we did go to Magic Kingdom,
yeah.
and the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And so my Chiefs rightfully lost.
Oh
We
darn! As
we
a New England
we
Patriot fan,
got
I was not upset about that whatsoever.
we got spanked.
Yeah.
And so it was fun, living in Pennsylvania. Clearly, obviously, we wanted the Chiefs to win, but I wasn't disappointed that the Eagles
Mhm.
won, just because there were at the time only two players I was rooting for. Now that it has moved to five. There are five players I was rooting for
This list has
specifically.
expanded.
It is expanded as the like heartfelt stories come out. I'm like, okay, I guess I
Yeah.
could root for them too. But at the time, the two players I was rooting for were specifically Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. And Jalen in his 1990s fine
Yeah, I
self
was
was
gonna
at
say
the parade.
'90s Jalen Hurts. I mean, we are
He
here
was
for it.
he We are
Yeah,
here. We are here for it.
yeah,
I mean, I need to be about 16 years younger. I go, you're getting old when you're like, I hope my son see, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I am old, because I'm like, I hope my son sees him and is like, yeah, I'm gonna emulate that guy,
yeah,
instead of being like, ooh, Jalen Hurt. I'm like, yeah, I'm an old lady. But it was great to experience that, because now it's another experience we can tell people about.
yeah.
We met some other creators that were there to film it. It is a very super short 1 minute
Oh yeah.
cavalcade,
You
very
are
short.
waiting. You were waiting 1,000 times longer than what
Yes,
you were
yes,
when you what
for
you're getting.
to
So
and it was kind of hot that day. So
yeah,
that was,
thankfully we found that tree.
oh my gosh. We found a
The tree
tree and a
was a
trash
lifesaver.
can, and it
Yeah.
was amazing. So I could prop the tripod on the trash can and the
Tree
tree
in a
gave us
trash
shade.
can.
So
That's almost as good as what was the other thing I was saying?
oh,
Need or
do I need
buy.
or buy? Chris was over
Second.
here going, "Do I need or buy?" And I was like, "Well, both."
So yeah,
So
tree in a trash
need or
can, need or
yeah,
buy.
need or buy. So but it was a cool experience to see, and I do have a YouTube video up of the parade if you're interested to see, and I give
Mhm.
little tips and tricks of how to get a good spot, and I go over like what Chris and I did at Disney Springs too, because they had a little setup over there,
Yeah, that
and it
was
was
actually really cute.
it's
Like it was
cute. It
down,
was
yeah.
very cute.
They had like
Disney does a
photo
great job.
ops and stuff like that. Yeah, they
Yeah,
definitely do things to keep the kids engaged.
they
And
do.
like
They do.
we got it was sponsored by Snickers, so like they
Yeah,
were giving out handfuls of
full
Snickers,
of
and
candy
I
bars.
mean, like,
So
yeah, I
it
could
was
not even
great.
believe it. Yeah,
It was great. Disney doesn't do anything halfway, and the Super
no,
Bowl parade is also something they don't do halfway. So
yeah.
overall, the park days were awesome. We are now toying around.
Oh
Should we tell
yes,
them? Should we tell
yes,
them?
we should. I think that people will be pleasantly
I
like surprised and
surprise.
hopefully want to join.
Yes. So we are toying around with now doing like a magical type of Main Street retreat. We've been talking about this since we met 3 years ago.
Yeah, we've
We
been
have been
doing
talking about
we
it.
yeah.
It just, and then we saw someone else do it at Disneyland. So we had been
Mhm.
talking about it, and then these two other women at Disneyland host one, and we're like, people actually are doing this, and now it still has just been a conversation. But after
Yeah,
this trip, we were like, I think, I think we're ready
yeah.
to start like for 2026. That might be our trip that we go on. We might make it this
Yeah,
retreat.
I think that just based off of like the people who like regularly like engage with both of our accounts and the people who like
Yes.
we talk to, like a lot, I think that they would love to be able to join us because I've gotten those comments like I need to
Yeah.
go with you guys at
Yeah.
some point. Like we just have so much fun, and I hope that like even for people who listen to us like get even a small snippet of our personalities, because I don't think the amount of times that like we just were like hysterically laughing at
It's
ourselves and at each other, we
it
just
was
had so much fun.
yeah. And
Like,
we think we could make that in a retreat format. And it'll be short. It'll just be a weekend. Like you could come in
yeah,
Thursday night if you want, but it'll be Friday and Saturday, and we'll have like something farewell on Sunday, but you don't have to stay if you can't. Like we understand like time is
flight
precious,
times,
and
yeah,
we definitely think we want to shoot for February. It seems like a good month and good
yeah,
downtime. It's not like right the fresh of the new year, and it's a low crowd time. We probably can get some good rates. So
well,
we
and
are
the weather is
definitely,
mild,
it's
but
perfect. Yeah. And
yeah,
you don't have to worry about a lot of rain in
yeah,
February. So
we had the best weather when we were there. I
oh,
mean, it
was
was amazing.
great. It was great. It
Yes,
was perfect. So we are definitely starting like the talks, and hopefully by the summer we will have like solidified
yes,
plans, but
especially
just
because once
know,
the pricing comes out for
yes,
2026, then we can
we'll be
actually
ready.
really start,
Yeah.
planning it. But I mean,
Yeah.
like, for those of you who are curious as to what a Main Street retreat would be, it would be, a group of us going. And Jessica and I have several different ideas for
Yeah.
activities and fun things for everybody to do. But we would be going into the park, or, one park each day or whatever. And it's just
Yeah.
those 2 days, but like just different things for us to do and have fun. But we would kind of create this itinerary for us to do,
Yeah.
and for people who, and this isn't like, you could bring your family if you wanted to. So like if you
Yeah.
wanted to plan for your family to come for your your week long vacation and incorporate the Main Street retreat on the weekend, and
Yeah.
like you guys could do your stuff together, but like we would all stay at the same resort,
Yeah.
and like we would help, like we would make this thing for that way, because like it's cheaper if you go with a group rate.
Yeah.
So like doing the rooms that way and then including the tickets, and hopefully, getting like good pricing for all of those
Yes.
things.
Yes.
I think
And
that
if
it would be
you want to sponsor stuff in gift bags, if you're a listener and you're a small business
yes,
owner or you own a big
yes,
business, like we'll obviously be taking that kind of stuff because we do
yes,
want some
because
kind
we
of
will do like,
welcome bag,
yes, and like shirts, things like
shirts, and that
that.
kind of stuff.
But
So,
if you listen to us and you think like
I
they're
want to go
really
on the
fun,
trip with them.
yeah, I want to go on the trip with them. They're really fun. Need or buy. That's like if that is your mentality,
Need or
like need or
buy,
buy, need or
you
buy this.
need,
Need
you
or
need to
buy.
come with us.
Yes. So I
So,
mean, like we have so much fun, and I think that like it would be just so fun to have a group of people come
yes,
and like just enjoy the parks together. Like if you're a Disney adult and you love going to the parks and this sounds like something that you would want to do, or if you were one of those people who watched in our stories and was like, oh my gosh, like
I want to
I
do
want to go
that
with
or
them,
I want to
yeah,
go. This
you
is
can come.
definitely for you. And
Yeah.
the reason why it feels a little bit easier now is because Kris has started a new venture.
Oh yeah.
And so we feel like we now have like a little bit more control or the tools because obviously our intention is to make it as budget friendly. We're not trying to like make money off of any
No,
of
this is
this.
not a money
It's
making
yes,
situation. No.
but it does make it a little bit easier now that Kris, if you would like to
Yeah,
give a
so
little
I
spiel.
recently finished my training as a travel agent. So now I'm certified to book Disney vacations and Universal Orlando. So being able to kind of facilitate and get all of our bookings and like price out those places so that way we are getting a cheap
Yeah.
option for everybody and we're
Yes.
staying within a budget that works for people. And the other thing was that Jessica and I had talked about was making sure that we pass on some of those savings for the military
Yes.
tickets with people who wanted to go with us because there is a big savings for those tickets and we can gift those
Get
tickets
those.
to our
Yeah.
friends and family. And so that would be something that we could do and kind of help people because again, it's not about making money. Even as a travel agent,
Yeah.
even as a travel agent, like yes, like I would earn a small commission off of the rooms. That is not the purpose of why I would be doing
No.
it. The
No.
reason for doing it is to make this a fun and easy process for everybody.
Yes.
And like by helping our people going on this by getting like military tickets and stuff like that, it's
Yeah.
gonna I'm getting the room rates for a group rate is
Yeah.
automatically going to be cheaper than what it would be if you just got a room on your own
Absolutely.
one room. So
And then
it's
we
not
have
about it's
now with your expertise in being a travel agent, we are controlling on the back end. Like if anything
yes,
happens, like
yes,
she's able to like we aren't asking a third party like
yeah,
agent like,
yeah.
hey,
No
this
one
is
else is
happening.
handling this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like
So it's nice.
we would be handling all of those things. And like I said, we have a lot of ideas that I don't want to give away
Yeah.
too much until
Well,
we've actually solidified what we're doing. But the whole goal is just to go and have fun with like-minded people who love going to the parks and want to do something a little bit different
right. Yeah.
and just want to hang out with two um quirky
Two quirky Disney moms that just
yeah.
love to have a good time and love
Yes.
really fancy socks.
Yes, and really fancy socks and margaritas. So, but just yes, but just to preface, like Jessica, like isn't really much of a drinker, so like
Yeah.
this is not a
Yeah.
focused,
So
this is
it's
not a margarita focused thing.
it's
So if you're
thing.
not somebody who
Yes.
drinks, it's
There is
fine.
there is both. There is both.
Yeah,
And we have great times on trips. So we don't want to make
yeah.
it seem like it's like drinks all the time. Like
No, I mean
it
like
is
this. Yeah,
we both I'm not a huge drinker. She's a margarita girl and we have a blast together. And
yeah,
so your comfort level is going to be met between
yeah.
the two of us, you know?
Well, and I think
Like,
that just by anybody who has listened to this podcast and our other podcasts, when we talk with each other, like we are very, like we're
yeah,
very different, and I think that that's why we also like work really well together because, like,
100%.
even like if with your family dynamics, like your kids are a lot younger than mine,
Yeah.
whereas mine kids are older. So people who are listening to us are getting like that wide range,
Yes.
spectrum because you and I do things so differently. And then
Yes. I
everybody else
mean, even the
benefits
ride
from,
focus versus show focus,
yeah,
like we cover, between the two of us, we cover basically all the spectrums of Disney. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and you grew up at Disneyland and I grew up at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
Like that, even that aspect. So we're looking forward to it. We're looking for it.
I think it would
It's gonna
be
be
a
great.
lot of fun. I hope that people listening,
Yes.
like we've piqued their interest. Like you can
Drop us a
definitely,
DM.
yeah, drop us a DM,
Drop us a
slide into
DM
those
if you're
DMs.
interested.
Yeah. Slide on in, let us
Slide
know.
it. So no, I think it'll be awesome and it'll
Yeah.
be fun and anyone is welcome to come. And like I said, once prices come out and Chris can get us more of an idea of what like packages would look like. I know we're hoping to lean towards if we could swing like a moderate resort. We're definitely
Yeah.
it's not going to be deluxe, so don't we're
No,
not even opening the door to that.
no. But the
It'll
other
be a
reason
moderate or
why,
value,
yeah, the other
but we're
reason why
hoping
is just
moderate.
because, yeah, I would prefer a moderate just
Moderate.
because the options, especially for dining, is a
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah.
bigger. But those resorts are also a lot bigger and they have
Yes.
more of a capacity to be able to do
Yes.
it. The one thing now, having learned going in February during the cheer competitions, is that like we will need to check the dates of that.
To make sure
Yeah, because
they were everywhere.
yes, and not to like knock it, because I get it, like, and
Yeah.
as like I said, as somebody who was on a dance team
Yeah.
and growing up in California, I danced in the Main Street Parade
Yeah.
at Disneyland. Like my dance team went, and like
Yeah.
that was such a fun experience.
Yeah.
So
And
like,
I
hey
was at
girls,
Disney World for
yeah,
UCA nationals for both high school and
with
cheerleading
that
and
with that white
Cougars
jacket,
won. Yeah, with that white jacket, national champs. And yeah, so I mean, we get it,
yeah,
but you when you're on the opposite side, you kind of forget like, oh, there's a lot of big bodies in the
yeah.
park.
Well, that
Like there
the night
weren't as
that
many little kids.
Yeah, the night that
So
we had gone to Hollywood Studios, we didn't realize it, but there was some kind of after hours
after,
thing
yeah,
happening for the cheerleaders. And it, at one point, I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, because there was just so many girls and they were
there was
everywhere.
screaming and
Oh,
running, and
yeah.
it was just a lot. It
Yeah.
was a lot. So
So
we'll
I
be
would
mindful of that.
definitely, whatever dates we end up booking, I will definitely make sure that we
We
pay attention
will we will
to
for sure.
that.
So, but yeah, but no, I mean, as always, I had a wonderful time on the girls trip.
I did too. It was
It was
so good.
amazing.
So many
It was
funny moments.
amazing.
The one thing we forgot to talk about was when we went to the new Polynesian Tower,
Oh
the Island
my gosh.
Tower, and we got to tour the rooms.
Yes.
We got to tour the DVC
Yes.
rooms that they had available, which were absolutely
I
gorgeous.
just put a mini reel up
Yes.
if you
Oh, I saw
haven't
it this
seen.
morning. Yeah.
Mini
And then,
reel up.
yeah, we
They
were
were, I mean,
able,
they were beautiful.
absolutely stunning. Like, I mean, the views out onto Seven Seas Lagoon and facing Magic Kingdom is
Oh,
gorgeous. They have those little terraces that
stunning.
we made our
Bucket
way
list
to.
room now. Yes.
Those
We were
terraces were
we were
beautiful. We ate
hopping,
it.
trying to find all of them. They're called
Yeah.
they have a thing. They're called the garden terraces, and they
Yes.
each have a theme. There's four of them. Two though look out at Seven Seas Lagoon
Yeah.
in Magic Kingdom. In our that one, I forgot the name of the one that was like extra beautiful. Like
Yeah. I
it
would
had
have
like
to
the
go back and look at,
big
like,
canopy. They are
yeah.
beautiful, and you can watch fireworks from there.
Oh yeah.
And
I
the
would
other ones are
imagine you would
beautiful
need to get there
too,
early.
but
Yeah.
there's
But
construction right now.
yeah, they overlook the Magnolia Golf Course, which is also
Yeah,
where Shades of Green is. So Shades of Green sits between the Palm and the Magnolia golf courses. So Shades of Green is across the street from the Polynesian. So
yeah,
when you're looking from one of those terraces in the Polynesian Tower and you're looking at the golf course, like that's what you're looking at. But
yeah.
as I said
And it
earlier,
will be
all that
beautiful.
construction, yeah, it will
Yeah,
be,
it will
just
be
not right now.
beautiful. But yeah, they're expanding the road, and so
Yeah.
it does not look beautiful right
No.
now.
And then we also
But
ate at that Wailulu Bar and Grill, which was
yes,
delicious.
so
So
I
good.
am dreaming about that burger again. Like
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, this was so good. The Island Tower is definitely a necessary addition
Hmm.
to the Polynesian because again, my family couldn't stay at the Polynesian anymore
Yeah.
unless we were in a bungalow.
Yeah.
We do not fit in the standard rooms, and I would not spend twice the points to be able to stay
No,
on the
that's
DVC side.
yeah.
Like that's so
It's
expensive.
yeah.
And I still will never forget how much the room was because I remember that I was waitlisted for one of the nights, and I called
Mhm.
and was like, let me just book it so that way we don't have to move. And then I called and they were like, okay, so you want to put $200 down? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, okay, the total is 836. And I was like, okay, but we only need one night. And she goes, that is for one night. And I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Yeah,
expensive.
we're not gonna
Yeah.
pay for that. So
Never mind,
I'm
change it,
yeah, so
like
I'm so excited about the tower having the two bedrooms now because it gives us a place to use DVC points,
mhm.
and they're not that much more. They're about the same as Riviera. They're a little bit higher for like the theme park views though.
Yeah.
Those can get up to like 100 points a night, which are
Oof.
pretty pricey. Yeah, that's pretty pricey because the bungalow I think was like 120 points a night. So if
Oh,
the
wow.
bungalow is costing that and
Yeah.
then a two-bedroom theme park view is costing that, that's pretty expensive. But
Yeah.
the regular standard rooms and the partial views, they're on par with like Riviera's points, so they're not
Yeah.
too bad. But it really was a necessary addition and a beautiful addition. You
It
know, I
was
know we missed
absolutely
the
gorgeous.
show, but it's I think the trade-off is was was worth it
Yeah.
for sure.
Just
So
I mean, we love the Polynesian. Like, we stayed there this summer in a club level room, and it's,
fancy. You
oh,
may
yeah.
not stay at the Ritz, but you stay club level.
Well, that was also because we did a split stay. So we stayed at Shades of Green and
Yeah.
we're budget friendly, and then we stayed
Yeah.
2 nights club level.
Yeah.
So that's how we always get to do
Which is
those
a fun
extra
trade-off
experiences.
to
Yes,
relax at the end of your vacation.
yes. And I mean, it was so, the King Kamehameha Club that they have that's the
It's
club
amazing.
level is so gorgeous, and it faces Magic Kingdom, and so like you could watch the fireworks from in there at night.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, like there's like a glare from like the glass or whatever,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so it's not like ideal. But
Might
the
as well
food
just go out to the
offerings,
beach.
yeah, which was what we did. But the
Yeah.
food offerings are delicious. But I mean, there it's just so relaxing there. The Polynesian music that they play, and
Yeah.
like same thing, like walking over
Polly's
to
a
the island
vibe.
show.
Like
It's
that's just it's a vibe. Like it
yeah,
really is. It is a
oh yeah.
vibe. I
But no,
love
so
it. I
we
love
had
it.
so much fun. I definitely really want to do this Main Street retreat. I think that
Yes.
it would be so fun, and I think that
Stay tuned for that because
yes,
we will make it happen. We'll make it
yes.
happen. So
Slide in those
2026.
DMs and let us know that you want to
Let us
go.
know. Let us know if you want to go, what you want to do, what you want to do. Well, speaking of sliding in, Chris, give everyone
Yeah.
the info on where they can find you and all of that good stuff.
Yes. Okay. So I again am at Happily Ever Park Hoppers. That is on Instagram and Facebook. I now am a travel agent with Circle of Dreams Travel, so you can always
Woo
find me
woo.
there. And so, but for now, like that's I just do everything through my actual Happily Ever Park Hoppers. So if you are thinking that you might need help with a trip or whatever, I can definitely help you. I also do personalized itineraries, which is something separate.
Yeah.
And I've been doing those for, what do you think, like the last year
The
or
last
so?
year, at least a
Yeah,
year.
at
At
least a
least a
year. And
year.
people love those. And that's like way more help than what you get with
Yeah.
just a travel agent,
That's
because
those are the detailed, and I mean like detailed down to like this is what you need to do type
yeah.
itineraries.
Oh
They
yeah,
are
I will
paid
give you, yeah, I give
it
people
is
a park map
so
that's
detailed.
color coded with
Yeah.
lines, like you're going to enter here and you're going to go here and then you're going
Yeah.
to make your way this way. And so it's for people who are really looking for that, like really like extra
Concierge,
level.
handhold,
Yes.
extra level. Like
Um,
it is super, super detailed, takes hours to work on.
oh, it takes me
And
days,
like
but
it is
yeah, it
it's
does
so
help people,
detailed.
and I
It
love
does.
doing it. It's definitely
Yeah.
a labor of love.
Yeah.
But so that's, I do all of that stuff through my Happily Ever Park Hoppers. So if you need help, you can contact me there. I also have my website, Happily Ever Park Hoppers.
Yeah.
And I'm always happy to help. I'm always happy to talk Disney. Like I do different things on my stories. So Mondays, just like Jessica, I answer
Yeah.
questions for people who have them. I also throw up lots of polls and stuff like that, just to try to, like see if people have eaten anywhere or if they like to do the same things, or just I try to keep it fun and light,
Yeah.
because like things are, life is hard as enough as it is.
It is.
Like
It
we
is.
are
We need
here
as much
to, yes,
magic as we can.
we are here to create the magic and just, have a good laugh. I think that that's the biggest thing for us, is that we are here just to have a good laugh.
a good time. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're
This has been
welcome.
so much fun. Remember, you can watch this podcast on YouTube, and I'll be sure to add like pictures and videos in if
Yes.
you are listening to it and you want to see our smiling faces. Again, I am so grateful that you have joined us today, and have a magical rest of your day. Bye,
Yes.
everyone.
Bye.
If you enjoyed that video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and we will see you real soon.